Alright, fifth video on my channel, and I'm going to be talking about a topic so controversial that I actually might get shot for it. How's it going, guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a subject that I know is very sensitive, but at the same time, this is a channel where I get to express my views, my opinions, and my life experiences and topics that I personally just feel interested to talk about. Before I start, I want to say that all the views and all the expressions and all the opinions said on this video are mine personally, okay? I want people that watch this video to watch with an open mind and to really just try to understand where I'm saying. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just a guy sitting in my studio apartment talking to a fucking camera. So yeah, please, I don't want any negativity or any argument or any fight to go on in the comment section. I don't want people bashing each other. I don't want any of that. I just want you to understand where I'm coming from and to honestly just talk. That's what this channel is about. If you do disagree, or you're unclear about something I said, or you don't like what I said or whatever, I feel free to comment, but at the same time comment with an educated mind and from that point of view. Don't just be an asshole, don't be a dick, don't be a narrow-minded just prick and just bash me or bash others for the sake of doing so. Having said that, let's move on. So I was born and raised in a Islamic household, and so that makes me a Muslim. Already I see people like getting nervous. It's like you hear Islam or Muslim and it's like, oh, you know, it's that. And my parents weren't the most practicing Muslims themselves. I mean, honestly, they never forced me to do anything. I mean, I guess this is primarily because I was raised for the most part in Canada. And although there is a big Muslim and Islamic community there, my parents never really forced me to do anything. Of course, my mom would teach me a few prayers here and there and say, okay, before you go to bed, say this prayer so that God will be with you, or before you get on a plane, or before you get on a car, or before you start your meal. These little prayers she would teach me just to say before I do these things. And I feel that many religions have that. And as a kid, honestly, I never questioned religion. I never saw people practicing it so intensively. I was never really exposed to it as much. Again, because I was raised in Canada, it was different. However, later on in my life, when I moved back to my hometown with my family, I did see that religion was a much bigger, it played a much bigger role. I mean, obviously it was the biggest religion of my country. And it's like, if you were not a practicing Muslim, then things were, I mean, people looked at you differently. And people did judge, and people did say a lot of things. I was still fairly young, in my early teens, when I moved back to my home country. And so I still didn't let it affect me too much. I did believe in my religion and my culture and what everything it taught, the stories that I used to hear from my mom, from my grandmother, from whoever, you know, that the religious individuals of my family, they used to tell me stories, and I used to listen and believe and be inspired a lot of the times even. However, as I grew up, there was one time where my dad, and although he doesn't say it out in public and for the right reasons, he is an agnostic. And agnostic, I guess that's how you say it. And for those of you who don't know what an agnostic is, it's a person who believes in a God, but not in a structured religion. And he is, although he doesn't admit. And I remember one time we were in Canada, we were going to a family friend's house, and obviously it was a family that they were from the same country that we were, and we all went. It was this massive dinner. At least 100 people were in this house, and it was time for prayers. And I remember seeing my dad being approached by somebody and say, oh, and he was asked like, oh, hey, we're all gonna go to pray. Let's go and pray. And my dad was like, oh, I'm sorry, no, I'm not gonna go. that's when my mind I was like 9 or 10 years old, and that just amazed me, because like I said, I was never a religious kid. I mean, honestly, all I cared about as a kid was just fucking Dragon Ball Z and Beyblade and playing on my PS2. Religion was just like whatever. I would hear stories and my mom would tell me to say these prayers. That was it. My parents never forced me to pray 5 times a day, and I never prayed 5 times a day. But from that moment, I began to question. I began to question our religion. I began to question other religions. I began to question the existence of God. As time progressed, I wondered, like, what's the point? What is the point of us doing these rituals, doing these things? Does he or she or it really exist? And if so, why does it matter? And after questioning and reading and asking myself and seeing others and questioning others of different faiths, I came down to this one conclusion. We simply cannot know. That's it. There's no way to know 100% that there is a God, and there's no way to know that there isn't. You can't know that. I mean, listen, science can explain a million things, a million different theories and everything, but we as a society, even if you give us the best telescope on the planet today, we still can't look beyond our own solar system. You know, we can't do that. So when we can't even look beyond our own solar system with the best technology we have, and we can only decipher and only predict and illustrate and imagine what the outer galaxies and the outer realms or vortexes or whatever, all that space jargon, and we can only understand it but not really know it, how do we know what's beyond that? 13 point whatever billion years ago, there was this massive form of heat and like immense heat, and then it just exploded, and that created the Big Bang, and then the universe, and then yada yada yada, and then the Earth was created 8 billion years later or whatever. And okay, great, but what happened before the Big Bang? I mean, was it just nothingness? Or what was it? Or was God fucking just on his desk creating like a blueprint for the universe? You know, what happened before that? You should all just really watch Louis C.K.'s SNL monologue that he did, I think maybe 6 or 7 months ago. It's so brilliant. It's like you go to a religious person and you'd be like, oh, so you think God exists? And he's like, oh yeah, God exists 100%. And you're like, but you haven't seen him. And he's like, oh no, but he exists. He exists in here. He does. And then you go to like an atheist or somebody, and they're like, oh no, God doesn't exist. Fuck it. There's no God. And it's like, did you check? Where'd you check? Where'd you look? And he's like, oh no, he just doesn't exist. Again, there's a fucking vast universe. Planet Earth is like a fraction of a drop in an ocean that's a million times bigger than the Pacific, you know? And you're telling me when you're a fraction of that fraction, inside that fraction, that's like hurting my brain. Me personally, I do believe that God exists. I don't know whether to call him God or whether to call him what, but I do think that there is so much more that we just simply don't understand, and there is something's going up there that we just don't know, and he's just looking over at us like, you know, fucking with our little brains. Because for me, I've realized that if you don't have faith in something, like, where do you go? You know, I mean, when your entire world is collapsing on you, you know, your girlfriend left you, you lost your job, your family member died, or whatever. Like when the whole world just caves down on you, you need an outlet. You need to go somewhere. You need to mentally, emotionally, you need to get on your knees and just be like, I need somebody. Because I think we've all went to that place where we simply don't know what to do or who to go to and feel so lost. I know I've been there multiple times, and I just went on my knees and I looked up, because that's what we as a society do. That's where God apparently is. Even though the world is circle, even though the world is round, we look up and just pray. If you're religious, if you believe the stories of the Bible, the stories of the Torah, the Quran, whatever you do, I think that's great. But But at the end of the day, you need to understand that your religion is for you. You are not supposed to go out and advertise your religion or force somebody. Like, who made you fucking Muhammad? You know, why are you going around forcing other people to convert? It's like become this game of like, who has more supporters? It's like a fucking political campaign. Why? I believe in what I believe in. I don't know if the stories of Islam or the stories of the Bible are true or not. I don't. I only know what I read and what I see and what I hear. That's what I know. But it's not your job to fucking force all this shit like on somebody else. A religion is something for yourself, and it's something for you to believe in. It's your spiritual practice. Why? And it should be kept for yourself. And this goes to other religions as well. You know, it's not just Islam. I know this happens in Christianity. I know this happens in Hinduism and everything. It happens everywhere. My dad always told me that, honestly, Shaz, I was very religious as a young man. I read the Quran at least 3 times. I've read all the stories. I knew everything. And the more I learned, the more I got educated about it, the more I drove myself crazy and questioned. And it's true. I want to give another example. In Islam, we have this thing called Ramadan. And Ramadan, I think it's widely known, it's a month of fasting. And you fast for 30 days from dusk till dawn. I think, yeah, from when the sun rises to when the sun sets. You know, the whole day you fast, no food, no water, and then you break your fast when the sun sets. And you do this for 30 days, and after 30 days you have this big event and this big function, and everyone's happy and everyone gives money, and it's great. I like that tradition. I still myself follow it. I don't always fast all 30 days. I try to do it every now, like maybe 1 or 2 days out of the 30. I'm sorry. I love food too much. I can't go without food. I'm 6'5". I need food. As I was growing up, I thought to myself, okay, why do we do this? What's the reason for us to do this? And then I learned that when Muhammad was alive, back in 500 whatever AD, obviously in the part of the world that he lived in, there was a scarcity of food and water. So he said to his people, okay, we will, in the name of God, we will fast for 30 days to preserve food and water. And that's so great. And then after the 30 days, we will feed the poor, and then we will, would have stored up a lot of food and water. And that's so great. I love that. That's a very good. Muhammad was a smart man. He really was. Incredible politician. And nowadays, I feel like that message is completely lost. In a normal day, you have 3 meals a day, you drink your amount of water, whatever, and you have snacks in between. People who fast during this month nowadays, and this has been going on for a while, it's like I see my families, they will eat a meal at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's called sehri. So you wake up in the middle of the night, or you just stay awake, and you have this massive meal before you start your fast at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you go to bed, and then you fast, and then you break your fast, which is another massive meal. And then I've seen people even after that at like 11 o'clock at night, they have another huge meal, and that's their dinner. So you're having your massive breakfast at 3 or 4 in the morning, you're having this massive, like, late lunch, pretty much, really late lunch to break your fast, and then a massive dinner. And you drink a ton of water all the hours you're not fasting. So technically, in a month, you eat and drink more than you normally would. Then it's like, oh, during the time that you're supposed to fast, you're supposed to pray 5 times a day. You're supposed to be clean in your thoughts and clean in your behavior, and you should do charities for the poor. These are all concepts that Muhammad came up with back in 1500 years ago. But still, I see people who fast, they fucking just sleep all day. They sleep all day, and then as soon as their fast breaks, boom, they're out to the bar and clubs. It's like, that's so hypocritical of me. I mean, I love the message that Muhammad was giving and the concepts and the ideals that he was instilling back 1500 years ago, but all of that it's like lost now. I don't know, these things, they're funny to me. Again, I'm not trying to bash the religion. I'm not trying to like say anything against people who do this. And I'm sorry that I'm picking on Islam so much. It's just because this is what I grew up with. This is what I was raised with, and this is what I know most about. I know a little bit about other religions, of course, but I don't want to say anything because I don't want to say anything that's wrong or whatever. And I know other religions have their issues and whatever. And again, if you follow anything, that's you. You know, that's your business. You don't need to attack others who don't. You know? Religion is not that, you know, it's you, it's about you. Do you, boo boo, do you. So you know what, that's what I have to say. At the end of the day, we simply cannot know. Sometimes I wonder, what's the point? You know, I'm tired of waking up every single fucking day and just drinking my Poland Springs, wearing my Levi's and my Aeropostale, and, you know, putting on my Nikes and going out and being bashed in the head with fucking capitalism and false media propaganda. And that's the world we live in. And it's like, the point is what? At the end of the day, we're not going to matter. People always say, oh, don't you want to leave a mark on this planet? And I'm like, this planet is only going to be here for another few billion years. And in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of the fucking universe, that don't mean shit. That don't matter. Nobody's going to fucking care. There's this side of the brain where I'm just like, fuck it, I don't give a shit, like whatever. And there's the other side that's like, oh fuck, I want to be famous. But you know, these are my thoughts. I just think at the end of the day, you should believe what you believe in, but have faith in something. The prayers that my mom still taught me when I was 7 years old, I still say them before I go to bed, before I eat, before I get into the subway, because it makes me feel good. I do it not because of anything, but I do it to respect my mom. I do it to respect, I don't know, to make me feel, I feel safe. And I feel good when I do those things. Be you, live your life and believe in what you want to believe in, but also know that science can't prove anything, religion can't prove anything, and we simply can't know. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. So yeah, it was nice talking to you. I hope this video made a little bit of sense. I hope I'm not going to cause any massive riots or chaos in the comment section. I only have 1 subscriber and like 100 views. No one's going to even fucking see this video. Whatever. Anyways, guys, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.